comic book fans, welcome to another exciting edition of Cammy's Comic Corner. I'm your host as always, Cammy. Now, this week was very enjoyable. Of all the books I read, I had a fun time. A week consistent with just being plain old fun, that's a rarity, my friends, especially nowadays in these tough economic times. But enough about this BS, let's get on to the pick of the week. From Marvel, we have Deadpool number 11, written by Daniel Way and art by Paco Medina. Now, in the last issue, Norman Osborn sent Bullseye, aka Hawkeye, to go kill Deadpool because his beloved Thunderbolts just couldn't do it. So they fight last issue, and then Bullseye is the victor. In this issue, he's about to chop up his dear old friend, but then he has kind of a change of heart. Like, he's always hated Deadpool, and he always wants to kill him, but now when he actually has the chance, it's like, I don't really want to kill him. And so he even calls Dr. Feelgood at the local radio station because he's just so torn. Well, Deadpool gets up, escapes, and he's running around with an arrow in his head, so he's really hard to kill because, you know, he's not his right self. As opposed to being his right self, he's not hard to kill. But anyway, he goes back to the slaughterhouse, and he fights against Bullseye. So it's a slaughter in the slaughterhouse. Anyway, Deadpool puts some moves on Hawkeye while he's in his meat suit, and in the end he gets Bullseye in quite the awkward position. He says, say it, and he gets, get your filthy meat hooks off of me. And it's funny, and then he's like, oh no, he's beating her meat, and all these little beating meat and jokes in there. But Deadpool becomes the victor in the end as he shanks, not like a lamb shank, but shanks Hawkeye with his meat hooks. Very fun issue. Daniel Way just does such a spectacular job with Deadpool. And Paco Medina on art, it's really a good Deadpool art fit. So I'm loving this series. It's been fun ever since issue 1. Go out and get it today. Now on to the Fast 5. First up, from DC, we have Green Lantern Corps number 37. Now, last issue, Ion, aka Sodom Yat, launched himself into Daxam's Red Sun. And with all of his ion power this issue, he makes the ultimate sacrifice to make the sun yellow, therefore giving all the Daxamites their powers, like Superman powers. They can fly, shoot lasers, superhuman strength, etc. So now they are all pumped up. Mongol looks at this and goes, this might be bad. And sure enough, they're going toe-to-toe with the Sinestro Corps forces. Meanwhile, back on Oa, the jailbreak has finally been contained, and just as they think they get a break, the shielding of Oa, the armor, starts coming apart because of Scar, the evil lantern, down below in the depths of Oa. Says, you know, finally it's time to let the Blackest Night prevail. So, very cool issue. Loving it. Blackest Night in July. It's coming soon, I promise. Next up from Marvel, we have The Amazing Spider-Man number 597. Now, this is part 3 of the American Sun storyline by Joe Kelly, and this is the third time I've reviewed it on the show. It's just been consistently fun. Spider-Man's running around in Venom's outfit, thanks to Reed Richard making a Venom outfit for him. And he's getting behind-the-scenes access of what Norman really has planned. And American Sun is actually what they're calling the new Iron Patriot. That's going to be for Harry. And it's going to be a mixture of Gollum serum and Super Soldier serum. So it's going to be pretty deadly. But meanwhile, Wolverine, aka Dakin, knows that that's not Venom. He says, you smell too clean. They battle. Norman says, what's going on here? And apparently Norman's known that it hasn't been Venom ever since Spidey walked through the front door. So what does he do? Is he going to tie him up? Is he going to do something dastardly like evil villains do? No, Norman just takes out a gun and shoots him. He shoots Spider-Man, and we see blood on the floor, meaning it was a direct hit. What's going on? We have to wait a couple weeks now because is Spidey okay? Joe Kelly, why do you do this to me? Why do you have to put the ultimate cliffhanger like that? I can't stand it like this. Anyway, spectacular issue for an amazing book. Spectacular, amazing Spider-Man. Good times had by all. Next up from Vertigo, we have Fables number 85. Now, this is part 7 of the Great Fables crossover. It's coming to an end. Jack Frost, last issue, ran into Jack and said, hey, you're my dad, you know, what's up? Jack doesn't really need this right now because he's trying to, like, run the farm, doesn't need this kid saying he's his son coming out of nowhere. But Jack Frost apparently blames Jack for making his mother so evil. Apparently, she never used to be so evil, but after Jack, betrayed her and slept with everyone else in the kingdom, she got pretty pissed. So anyway, the cult of Boy Blue comes to Jack's rescue, saying, "No, you can't do this to our savior." Beast and Beauty have to say it, to tell everyone, no, it's Jack here. It's not the second coming of Boy Blue, not by a long shot. So they have to go to protective custody over on Big Beast's farm, where Jack teaches the Cubs how to play poker. There's only 2 issues left in this big event, and I've just been having such a blast throughout. Next up from DC, we have Batman number 687. Now this is kind of a sticky pickle. I am not all that much of a... Judd Winnick is a very hit-or-miss writer for me. I loved his stuff on Outsiders and Green Arrow, stuff on Titans and various other stuff, not so much a fan of. But in this issue, I had fun, and yet at the same time, I felt kind of conflicted, because, if anything, this issue of Batman is kind of like the epilogue to the Battle of the Cowl, and it should have come before Batman and Robin, which came out last week. And not only that, but it's $1 more, so it's $3.99 when in Batman and Robin you get $2.99 and you get all that gorgeous art and whatnot. Not to say the art in this isn't gorgeous. Ed Benes really, brings it to Batman. But basically you get the mourning from the Bat family of Batman still being gone. Nightwing hasn't put on the costume just yet. He's still driving around in the Batmobile, making people think, oh, there's Batman. And Damian even tries to, take on Dr. Phosphorus. He tries to show, like, yeah, I'm a tough cookie. But at the end, we finally see Batman come from out of the shadows. A Scarecrow is, threatening to put all this fear gas throughout Gotham. And the funny thing about the last page is, it looks like Batman has a shiny cowl. And this reminded me of when Bucky became Captain America. He had a shiny new cowl. So I guess with, the sidekicks becoming the actual hero nowadays, you have to have something shiny. You have to add shine to the costume. Anyway, I had fun with this issue, but if you really want a fun Batman and Robin story, I would go with Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. See my review last week. And finally this week from Marvel, we have The Punisher Max number 71. Now, ever since Garth Ennis left the Max title, different creative teams have, tried to give their best shot towards the series, and not all that many have been successful. A lot of people, apparently according to my retailer, sales have just been plummeting ever since Ennis got off the book. But hey, 71, I suggest, is a good jumping on point for this creative team. Victor Geisler and Goran Parlov, they must be American, they have a great tale of Frank in the bayou, and he looks like he's wanting to dispose of a body or something in the swamps. We don't know yet, but while stopped at a gas station, he notices that the locals are kind of creepy. And when he doesn't see these college kids that were riding along and racing him, he gets kind of concerned. And so, like a horror movie, the kids are kidnapped by the locals, and fucked up things are happening to them, and Frank has to go and investigate now. And it was just a very cool issue, because as soon as Frank knows what's up, shit's gonna hit the fan. Add in a gorgeous cover by Dave Johnson. I don't think this guy gets enough credit, Dave Johnson. You'll see a cover of his, and you'll recognize it. And it is just, it fit the tone of this book quite nicely. So bravo. If you want a good Punisher Max story, I would hop on board with number 71. Well, comic book fans, that does it for Cammy's Comic Corner this week. If you want more Cammy's Comic Corner goodness, head on over to www.cammyscomicorner.com. From there, you can subscribe to us on the RSS feed or on iTunes. And also, go stop by the forums, go check out the reviews, the weekly reviews I have on the site for every book that came out, and you'll see what I liked and didn't like. Also, if you want any of the kick-ass t-shirts that you see me wearing, head on over to www.deadlinegraphics.net and send Kelly an email. The deal going on for the month of June is free shipping throughout the United States and discounted shipping worldwide. He has tons of awesome new shirts up, and there's only one name that I trust when it comes to comic book t-shirts, and that is Kelly over at www.deadlinegraphics.net. And speaking of cool websites you should be checking out, head on over to www.rsc-online.com. Rising Sun Creations is my newest sponsor, and they specialize in manga, collectible toys imported straight from Japan, and U.S. comic books. So in their store, it's the best of both worlds. And you can check out all their stuff online at rsc-online.com as well. Thank you once again for sponsoring this week's contest, Rising Sun Creations. Up for grabs, we have another copy of Stephen King's Dark Tower, Gunslinger Born. If you want a copy of this book, and you should have noticed by now that I have tons of copies, send me an email at cammyscomiccorner@gmail.com. In the subject line, put coffee, and then one winner will be randomly selected. And not to worry, if you don't get picked, there's always next week. So, that does it this week for Cammy's Comic Corner. I hope you've all had a great week for comic books, and I can't wait until next week, because that means more new comic books. Good night, everybody.